Hello, welcome back to Bebop Review. My name is Andy Shaw. We're going to talk about this book today, the Charlie Parker Omnibook, book that's been around for quite a long time. There's about 60 solos, transcribed solos in this book. So, at first glance, you think, wow, it's quite good this. I did when I first saw this book, I know years ago, because obviously you can see I've had it absolutely years. I think it came out in 1980s actually. But I thought, wow, Charlie Parker, I'll really be able to play like Charlie Parker with that book, go through with that book. But there's three things basically wrong with it. The first thing is that if I were producing a book of transcribed solos, right, and I wanted to pick the best of Charlie Parker, there's a lot of tunes that are not in here. For a start, there's only really one ballad, and that is really Parker's Mood. Parker's Mood is the only real ballad that's in here. And it's not the best version of Parker's Mood, in my opinion. The best version, it's Take 5, which was the one that they released to the public. But anybody who's into Charlie Parker will get the whole Savoy collection and the whole Dial selection, and the Mercury or the Verve selection. So we have all the retakes as well, so we know what the best recordings are. And the best recording of Parker's Mood is Take 2. I think that's the best recording. I would have put that in the book. But there's things like Embraceable You's not in, Out of Nowhere's not in, Don't Blame Me's not in, I Can't Get Started. There's a great live version of I Can't Get Started, although it's quite difficult to get over the recording. I've got a copy of it. But all those are not in. The ballads, you want lots of ballads, because Charlie Parker's one of the greatest ballad players he's ever been, and not to put a lot of ballads in it's just ridiculous, So we've got 60 solos, the great tunes and all that, there's a lot of blues in here, so you've really got a good way of getting into blues, but they should have been ballads, so that's one of the things. The second thing is that they're not super accurate, these, even though it says transcribed exactly from his, it's not. They're not transcribed exactly. I actually put this solo, when I got this book, I actually got a program called Band in a Box, which probably a lot of you have got. And with Band in a Box, you can actually play the recording and then write music over the top of the recording. It's great for transcribing, because if you put the wrong notes in, you can hear it clash against the note. And Band in a Box has got is a program where you can slow the beats down per every bar. It's fantastic. It's really good for doing things like that. So what you can do is you can be writing the music in and listening against the transcribed solos and matching it up. And I think a lot of people do this, I think Cole Wardek's transcriptions are really accurate. I think he's used computer. And David Baker, if you've got these books, David Baker's solos are pretty accurate. I think he uses, or did use, computers to check his work. But there's a lot of mistakes. Especially, you can tell there's mistakes because when you doing the fingering, if you play alto sax, which is obviously Charlie Parker's instrument, like I do, I play alto sax. As you're playing the solos, you can tell that the finger's not right. Charlie Parker wouldn't use awkward fingering like F to F sharp. That's weird. That you won't use that. You know what I mean? You can. Some of you will be saying, well, you can use that side key, but it's still not right. If you've ever seen pictures of Charlie Parker play, he's like that. There's no movement at all, and you've just got these hands going at incredible speed with very little movement. If you if you look at his fingers, it's just very little movement like that on the keys. It's incredible to watch, and Parker wouldn't play these awkward things. He always looks very smooth. It's not like that Clint Eastwood film where Bird, whatever they call it, where the guy who's playing what's his name, Forrest Whitaker, something, who plays Charlie Parker. He's going like that with all his fingers, It's not like that at all. Parker's very, very smooth, and there's no awkwardness in his playing. And this book gives you some awkward fingering that don't make sense. So there's definitely problems. And actually, when I put these solos against Band in a Box and matched up, I found out that there were definitely mistakes. So that's one thing, that they're not super accurate. The chords are definitely not accurate. I've got some very accurate transcriptions of chords out of different books by Barry Kernfield, basically. Of the piano was playing, it was like Dizzy playing the piano during the Coco session and stuff, and John Lewis as well. And the chords in here don't match anywhere near the chords on Coco and Parker's Mood and a few others. So you've got to take it, you've got to see it as it is. It's not super accurate, but it gives you an idea. But it doesn't really matter too much about the chords when you're studying Charlie Parker, because Charlie Parker does his own thing anyway. You know what I mean? You look at what Dizzy Gillespie actually played on the Coco session. You look at Charlie Parker, and Parker's playing all sorts of substitutions that are not what Dizzy doesn't. Dizzy's not playing those chords anyway. And Dizzy himself is doing his own thing. He's not playing the proper chords, So that's Bebop anyway. If you're looking at a solo, you only need, I suppose you only need these general chords, and get an idea, and then you can see what Parker's doing. But I thought I'd just mention that it's not super accurate, because it says on the front, transcribed exactly from his recorded solos, and I won't actually bring this up if I didn't read that. I just want to say that that's not true. So they're not super accurate. The third thing that's wrong with this book, and it's a real biggie as far as I'm concerned, because I actually do study Charlie Parker and I'm very interested in it, is that if you look at any of these solos, any one apart from Scrabble from the Apple, there's no key signature. It's all written in C. And when you're studying Bebop, you really want to see a key signature so that you can see any added note. The chromatic notes are usually the added notes in Bebop. You know what I mean? The Bebop scales. So you can identify what the Bebop scale is. If you look at David Baker's book on Clifford Brown, let me just get a solo I can show you. Like here on I Remember April, you can see that David Baker puts a key signature in, so you can identify what the chords are in relation to the key, and you can see any chromatic notes you can identify as Bebop notes. It's a hell of a lot better, putting key in. This thing about David Baker is, even when he puts these 2-5-1 patterns in, he misses the key signature off. So, but it seems to be an American thing. This not putting key signatures in, it seems to be an American thing, because I've seen Americans on YouTube. They put writing up and they don't put key signatures. I don't understand it. You see any Europeans who have done a transcription of Charlie Parker or somebody, and they always put a key signature. It's a lot nicer to look at the music, and it's just nicer basically. So I don't understand. So if you're an American who's watching this, from now on, always put a key signature in and make it easy for yourself and for anybody else on YouTube who's watching. Okay, so that's a really big one. The key signature. The thing about these solos in this book, just to finish this off, the main thing about these solos in this book is, I think they actually done. I don't want to just mention this, but I think they actually written for like beginners. I saw somebody in town, a girl in town. She was playing Moose the Moose from this book. She was just in Fargate, I was trying to make a few pound, and I had a little chat to her, and she was doing something for some school thing, so she was trying to learn it. So she couldn't learn it in her own house because it would drive her mother crazy. So she was actually practicing in town, which I thought were quite good actually. So that's the type of person though, somebody who's not into studying it but just wants to play it, and because a lot of these things like triplets and rounded off, it's a lot easier to play, and it's very well nicely written. But you just got to watch out that if you really want to get into Charlie Parker, you want to be listening and correcting these things. And also, if I were producing this book, I would definitely put at least three solos, which show very accurately Charlie Parker's rhythmic playing. So you can actually see our Bebop, because one of the most important things about Bebop is the rhythm. That's really what gives it its style. And the way that the music's accented and the slurs and that, you really want to be looking at that and how Charlie Parker approaches notes. And if they had like 2 or 3 solos that just had all the rhythm in, you'd have a really good example. You don't have to put them all in, but just a couple, so you can really look at it and find it out. So it's kind of like, it's like all books that I've got. I always find something wrong with them. But it's good as a beginner's, if you want to get into Charlie Parker as a beginner and get to know the style, but you just got to remember that you're not going to be played super accurate like Charlie Parker. I'll give you an example. I was transcribing a little bit of a Charlie Parker solo the other day, and when I wrote all the notes out and I played this line, I didn't sound no like Charlie Parker. And then when I listened very, very carefully to the record, I realised that this line was all fast 16th notes, like that, you know, very fast 16th notes, and it went over about a bar and a half, so, you know, like 6 beats. But Parker wasn't playing it on the beat, he was playing every third note. So it was da 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 ba do ba da da ba do, you know, like that. So the accents were all over the place. There were 3/4 of the beat, half the beat, a third, you know, a quarter of the beat. It was just, you know what I mean? And it went over, but it was playing a very fast line. I thought, God, that's incredible. But that's the kind of thing that you really need to be looking at and listening to. If you just see a rhythm that's a double time rhythm, you know, you'll simply play it on the beat because it just seems natural, it's easy to do. But Charlie Parker, his style and why he sounds so good is all these little things, you see. See, Sonny Stitt don't do that. He can't, if you listen to Sonny Stitt, it's always very evenly with a beat or a big slur. But with Charlie Parker, you get little things like that what you've got to listen to. So that's the thing what I want to say basically about Charlie Parker Omnibook. Just be careful and be aware of these solos are not super accurate, and really if you want to play like Charlie Parker you really need to listen to the record and compare it to the transcribed solo and probably correct it. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. Bye.